And we are going to get going with this live session. I'm going to do a Q&A thing, and we're going to get going with the whole Q&A. In fact, let me follow along so I can see who's joining, who's posting, or who's asking questions. If you guys have any questions, make sure you ask them. I'm going to go over some questions that people sent in an email. So I'm going to go over a few of these, and then basically everything that we talk about on this page is literally how to get on stages. So I'm going to show you the entire process in terms of getting on stages, and if you have any questions about what you guys should be doing, make sure you ask. So let's see, Tammy, hey, how's it going? David, what's up, everybody? I'm going to wait a couple seconds for the millions and millions of people who are going to join this live stream. We may even break Facebook with the millions and probably 10 billion people who are going to join this live stream. So I'm going to wait for a few seconds. What's up, Dan? All right. So cool. Wait a little bit, get a few more billions of people to join. So basically, like I said, this whole Facebook Live is going to be a Q&A session. So I've got several questions I'm gonna answer in terms of just speaking gigs. And if you guys have any questions, make sure you post them. So how's it going, Jens? All right. So let me actually just start with the first question. So Charles, he actually asked, how much time should elapse between follow-ups in the beginning? So basically you're contacting events, but how much time should elapse between when you contact them and then when you follow up with them if they haven't answered you, right? So this is a good question. It's a question that I ask myself pretty often when I started, because what's going to happen is when you contact an event, a lot of times they'll ignore you, and that kind of sucks when they ignore you. So you know you should follow up, but when should you follow up? All right, so Steve said, great day here in Michigan. Cool. David said, good morning. All right, cool. All right, so basically in terms of the follow-up, there isn't an actual time period. Like there isn't, hey, follow up literally 4 days later, or hey, follow up literally 5 days later. There isn't that. Instead, what you essentially do is you create this whole what's called a sales cadence. And actually, so let me do this. So you create a sales cadence. Where is it at? All right, let's go here inside of Event Finder. Your sales cadence basically tells you how often you should follow up with how often you should follow up with an event. So what you're essentially doing is you're basically going to create your own system in terms of follow-up, and you say like, all right, let's see here. All right, so here's essentially the prospecting pipeline. This is essentially how you're going to contact events. So it's like you build up a list of events. You're going to send out email number one. You could make calls if you want, but I send out emails. So you send out email number one. If they don't respond, you're going to follow up. The thing is, you essentially say, well, how long before I follow up? You could literally say, I'm going to follow up 3 days later, or I'm going to follow up 4 days later. This is literally a choice on your part. All right. Now, I do want to point out that in the beginning, you want to follow up more often. And then if they literally keep not responding, you follow up less often. But this is essentially what you're doing. You send out, let's say, email number one, they don't respond. Then you say 3 days later, I'm going to send out a follow-up. If they don't respond to that, then 3 days after that, I'm going to send out an email pitch anyways. If they don't respond to that, then 7 days, I'm going to send this out. If they don't respond to that, then I'll wait another 10 days and I'll send up follow-up number two. And then if they don't respond to that, I'll wait another 3 weeks before sending out follow-up number three, right? So essentially, that's kind of what you're doing. You're literally just, you're saying like in the beginning, I'm going to follow up faster. I'll follow up literally a couple days later. As time goes on, you follow up like that time period just extends, right? So that's kind of what you're doing. Hold on, let me see. All right, so David said, I did email one. All right, got an It's Me pitch and got this response. All right. So David said, thanks for reaching out. Let me move this thing out the way. So it said, thanks for reaching out. This year's conference is actually on Friday, and tickets are available if you're interested in attending. It would be great to meet you in person. Regarding next year, we usually start planning in December. I'll keep your contact info on file. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me again either. All right, and then David said, all right, thinking I will respond with this. All right, thanks for the offer. I'd love to come out, but I'm already booked this weekend. I will follow up in a few months. All right, have an awesome event. Then put a task in the CRM to contact. All right, perfect. Yeah, so David, that's exactly what you should do. So David's actually a Speak Pro Academy member. So basically what happened David contacted the event. He sent out email number 1. So he basically went through this process here. So he built up a list of events. He sent out email number 1. They responded by saying, hey, our event is literally this Friday, so we're good with everything. And then the person, they actually had a really great response. The person said, what did they say? They said, regarding next year, we're going to start planning in December, and I'll keep your contact info on file, so don't hesitate to reach out again. So basically, they told you exactly when they're going to actually plan the next event. So that's perfect timing. It lets you know exactly when to put the follow-up date in there. And then they literally said, hey, reach out to me again. So that's actually very rare that someone would respond in that way. So that's actually a pretty good lead. So essentially what David did when they did that is he just put a follow-up system or follow-up task in his CRM, and he's going to follow up with them in December. So, yeah, that's exactly what you should do. All right, so Brian said, good morning. What's up, Brian? All right, so Jen said, doesn't look like it. Okay, so Brian said, okay, thought maybe I was doing something wrong. All right, Tammy Turner said, all right, I'm getting women in terms of, all right. So I'm targeting women in terms of my product. I want to do a webinar around credit repair. How should I use Facebook ads to get people on it? Is there a tutorial within Speak Pro? Yeah, Tammy, all that in terms of like building your audience and everything, if you go into Industry Icon, all of it's there. And also remember to show up to the calls every week where we can talk about this stuff. But here's the thing. So what you essentially said, I'm trying to figure out exactly what you're saying. So it's like you're targeting women in terms of your product, but you also want to do a webinar around credit repair. So how does that relate? Like women and then credit repair, like that. It's like credit repair is credit repair. It doesn't matter if it's women or men. It doesn't really matter. So it's like you got to kind of pick one in terms of like what you're doing. Like, are you just doing stuff for women or are you doing credit repair? All right. So Jen said, I can't see or hear anything. All right, so can other people see and hear stuff? So if you guys can see and hear stuff, hopefully I haven't been talking this whole time. Nobody can see or hear me. All right, so let's see. David said, all right, send my pitch. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go on to the next question here in terms of the emails that you guys sent. So let's see. Mike said, what's the number one piece of advice that you'd offer a beginning speaker such as myself? So I don't know if you guys are just starting out. I don't know if you guys have been in the game for a while or not. But essentially what you do in the beginning is very differently than what you're doing when you're building. Well, what you're doing when you build a business and what you do when you run a business are two different things. So if you're just starting, all right, the number one piece of advice is get help. Like seriously, because you have no idea how much time you're going to waste by not getting help. What's going to happen is you're going to focus on things that literally do not matter. Writing a book, you're going to try to write a book. You're going to try to produce content. You're going to try to do all sorts of stuff that literally do not matter in terms of actually shifting the levers of your speaking business. And the reason why I say like writing a book doesn't matter is because, like I said, I get $30,000 gigs. I still don't have a book. It doesn't matter in terms of a book. I know that people think it's going to position themselves as an expert, but what positions you as an expert is you just being out there in general. It doesn't matter if you have a book or not. So the number one piece of advice that I would give people who are just starting is get help, because the things that are going to waste your time are things that you think are things that you should be doing. And then on top of that, when you do find the right things to do, you're probably going to do them wrong. So it's like someone posted on one of our ads, right? So one of our ads, in fact, most of you guys probably signed up with this ad, is it says like, here's a list of 100 leads, right? Like 100 leads for you to contact and get booked. And someone posted, has anyone actually gotten booked with this list of leads? And I said, okay, you need to get the full story. Don't just say, has anyone gotten booked? You need to get the full story. You need to say, what does your website look like? What did you say when you contacted these leads? Did you even contact these leads? What did you do with the follow-up? What did you say in the follow-up? Do you have any video footage on your website? So there's all that goes into it. And if you do those things wrong, then you'll have a hard time getting on stages. You'll have a hard time just actually getting booked. So it's one thing to do the right things. It's another thing to do those things right. I was just, yesterday, I was just talking with a realtor, and she mentioned that they were doing Facebook ads. And I looked at her ad campaign, and it was completely messed up. The ad campaign, it basically said, hey, I'm a realtor. Would you like to buy or sell a home, or something like that, right? And she said, we're not getting any response from this. And I said, well, that's because you need to improve the ad copy. And I went through the whole thing. So she was doing the right things. She was doing Facebook ads. They just weren't doing it right. So in the beginning, what happens is people might do the right things. They might build their website. They might do cold emails or cold calls. They might do those things, but they don't have a good website. They don't do the cold emails right. They don't do the cold calls right. So if you don't do those things right, you will always struggle, and then you'll wonder why it's not working. And even worse, you'll say, oh, the stuff doesn't work. Let me just go find something else. And then you just end up losing focus. So seriously, in the beginning, you have to get someone to help you. All right, let's see. Any questions? Had to refresh the browser. All right, morning. All right, Melody said good morning. All right, so glad I could catch this live. All right, cool. And any questions you guys have, make sure you ask them, by the way. So I'm going to go on to this next question. He also said, all right, so if you had to start all over again, what would you do and not do as a speaker? All right, so if I had to start all over again, I'd freaking dominate, like absolutely dominate right now. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? So if I had to start over, what I would do is I would start out with a website. So I would essentially build, let me go here. So I would build a website, and I would just make it very simple to begin with. So I would have a really cool header image. So I'd start out with a header image. It wouldn't say marketing yourself. It would just say motivational speaker. But I would have a header image, and I would just build a really nice website with good pictures in general. All right. Now obviously I wouldn't have like all these pictures. So in the beginning, what I would do is I would go to Shutterstock. All right. So I would do one or two. I'd go here to Shutterstock, and let's see. I'd type in, let's see. Corporate audience, maybe. So let's see. I would basically get some images like this, right? And I would use these images on my website. So I would buy, like, let's say an image like this. This will pop up. So I'd buy maybe a better image than this, but I would buy one of these images, and then I would produce a really cool header image out of it. In fact, let me see if I could find this. Let's see if all right, so here we go. So this is actually one of the things that we're going to do inside the Speak Pro Academy in terms of building out everyone's websites. So everyone's going to build out a website like this, right? So this is what I would literally do is I essentially took an image of an audience with their crowds like this, and I just created a really nice looking header for a keynote page. All right, so I would do something like this. Then I would take this layout here, and I would start inserting my own stuff. So here there's this picture of this girl. I would obviously put a picture of me, put a picture of me, put a picture of me, or some other picture. So I would actually go to a professional photographer, and I would actually get professional pictures made. All right, and so that's essentially what I would do, or professional pictures taken. So this would essentially be my keynote page. Let me go to the home page, right? So like something like this, I would literally create something like this. Here, like this demo video right here, if I were literally starting from scratch, I wouldn't have this, or I wouldn't have these reviews by the companies or anything. So I would essentially have, instead of this video, I would just create a simple video, like a blog video, right? Where's a blog video? Yeah, so I would essentially start out with a simple blog video, like maybe one of these or something, and I would throw that up. Like you could literally create a blog video today. You could just pull out your phone, just create a blog video, right? So I would create that, and I would use that, while at the same time I would hire a videographer to make a video like this. So this video, if you guys haven't watched this, go to YouTube. So go to YouTube and type in, let's see, Benji Bruce. Yeah, dang it. Benji Bruce Inspirational. All right, so type in Benji Bruce Inspirational, watch that video, and I would have a videographer create a video like this for me. What essentially this video is it's like an about me story. So I'm basically It's like here up in the high rise. I'm basically telling my story, all right? And it just looks really clean. It looks really nice in terms of the way it's filmed, in terms of the sound and everything with it, if I were to turn the sound up. But the way everything is in terms of me telling the story, this is my demo video. So I would hire a videographer, pay like $500 for him to make this. I would essentially put it either here, maybe here. I would actually go around to my friends and I would have them record video testimonials for me. So my friends would essentially say like, oh man, Benji, that dude's amazing. And so I would essentially have my friends in the video testimonials. This is actually what I really did do when I started. I actually did have my mom literally say like, oh yeah, we had Benji at one of our events and Benji was actually great. She didn't say she was my mom, but because they essentially had me at an event that she worked at. So I just got a video testimonial from my mom, right? And so this is literally what I would do. I would start going to my friends, get video testimonials in any way possible. Like as an entertainer, I can personally go out literally like on the strip or something and perform for people and then get video testimonials right after that. But so I would do that. I would instantly have video testimonials. I would instantly have video footage. And then I would essentially put all those testimonials or written versions here. These pictures, essentially, notice how these pictures are just audiences. This is just an audience. This is actually an event that I did, but you can essentially get pictures like this off of Shutterstock. So I would essentially do that. I get pictures off of Shutterstock, put it there, make it look really nice. Once again, this background, I would get something like this off of Shutterstock. Make it really nice. And that's literally what I would do. So I would start out first with a website like this. And by the way, Speak Pro Academy members, this is the website that you guys are going to be creating pretty soon. So I would start out with a website like this. After I have the website, I would obviously get this demo video made. I'd pay like $500. Bam, I'm good to go in terms of the actual brand. Once I have the actual brand, I could literally get that up in 2 weeks max. The time that it would take, the most time would be the video in terms of the videographer. Like he would have to come in, film, edit it. But even that, a good videographer can do that in a week. So within 2 weeks, I would have my entire brand built out. Then after that, I would now set up my email system in terms of actually contacting events. So I would set this up here. So I would basically figure out, all right, let me build up a list of events. Let me start sending out emails and contacting the events to send them to my website that I just built out, the website where it's like, hey, I'm amazing, right? So I would essentially send them there, and then from there, I would just keep repeating the entire process. That's literally all I would do if I had to start from scratch. If you have to start from scratch, you have to get insanely focused about what needs to get done and what you need to ignore. And more importantly, what I would do is I would set a schedule, right? So I would essentially say, I'm going to wake up at 7 a.m. From 7 to 7:30, I'll get ready or whatever, or maybe 7, 8, and I'll get ready, eat breakfast, all that, or whatever. As soon as 8 hits, I'm going to immediately start sending out emails. From 8 to 9:30, I'm going to be sending out emails. Then from 9:30 to 9:45, I'll take a break. From 9:45 to 10:30, I'm going to send out more emails. So that's literally what I would do. I would create a schedule like that. And I would literally repeat that over and over and over. That's literally what I did in the beginning. The only difference is that it wasn't really a system. I was kind of just going off the cuff and just praying stuff would work. But now I know it works, and now everything that's streamlined. But that's literally what I would do if I started from scratch. All right, so let's see. Clark said, with Speak Pro, are there resources to help build out our website, or do we need to wait until you cover that topic again? Yeah, so in Speak Pro Academy, I mean, there's everything in there in terms of building out your website. And then once again, we do the calls every week where we're talking inside of the group. And like I said, where is it at? This is actually the website that everyone's going to start building coming up in a couple weeks. Actually, not start building. I've built it out for you. All you guys are going to do is import this website, and you're just going to put your own pictures and videos in there. I mean, pictures like this you guys can keep, but obviously my video, you want to replace it. Unless you want to promote me, I don't mind if you guys promote me. I mean, shoot, you can keep my videos there if you want. No, I don't mind. But basically, yeah, in the Speak Pro Academy, you guys are literally going to import this entire website, and then you guys have a website good to go. Like all these pictures here, like this about page here, You guys have this right here. This would basically be your about page. You'll just obviously replace this with your own picture, just your own video, your own pictures here. You can keep this picture here with the crowd or with the audience. You guys have this picture, but basically you guys have built that out. All right, so let's see. Tammy said, since I mostly speak to women, all right, businesswomen just starting in business, at seminars, I wasn't sure if I should continue to target just them, but the product should be both. Yeah, so Tammy, if you're going to be doing credit repair has nothing to do with men or women. It's just someone needs their credit fixed, and that's it. Like, I got a friend actually, I'm pretty sure they're doing 8 figures, and they have a credit repair business. And in fact, I'll tell you, their whole thing with credit repair is most companies essentially say you got to pay us X amount every month or whatever. The reason why he makes so much is because what they do is they say you don't pay us until we actually take stuff off your credit report. So we get paid per item that we take off your credit report. So that's why it's a no-brainer. If you need your credit fixed and they say, hey, you don't pay us until we actually fix the thing, then you're obviously going to go with them. So that's kind of their whole strategy. And what they do is their Facebook ad is basically, hey, sign up to get a free credit report, and we'll go over how to take all this stuff off your credit report. And so a person pays them $25 to pull up a real credit report. And then once they pull up the real credit report, they go over the whole process of, all right, so here's some of the things you can do to remove it, but you can also go with us and we'll just do it for you. So that's kind of the process that they use. All right, so Bridget said, what are you using? Wix, Weebly, all right, something else? I'm assuming that's, yeah, so what I'm using is WordPress. I always use WordPress in terms of the websites. So let's see, Glenn said, love to see a video of your full performance. All right, okay. So let's see, Fred said, is it enough to have just one speaking topic? All right, so yeah, in terms of your speaking topic, let me go back here. Yeah, in terms of your speaking topic, you can have just one. In fact, what you essentially do with your speaking topic is you go after a market. Let's say it's a sales market, right? So you contact the event, and when you contact them, that's essentially when you say, here's what I speak about. Obviously, when it comes to sales, you got to think, well, what do they want? So if you're contacting a sales manager, the sales manager, they want obviously team players, or they want A players. They want rock star salespeople. If you're contacting, like, if you're talking about salespeople, you're obviously going to say, I'm going to show you guys how to close more effectively, and I'm going to show you how to answer objections in a better way or whatever. So you got to think in terms of what do they want. That's what you kind of shift your speaking topic around. What you don't do is you don't say, here's the only thing I speak about. Because if you do that, you're going to end up going to a sales event or whatever, and you say, I speak about buttons, and they're going to think, well, we don't really need that. So you got to think, what exactly is this event? What type of speakers are they paying for? It just so happens that's what you speak about. So that's kind of the process that you're going through when it comes to your speaking topics. Let me see some other questions. So Ben actually asked this. He said, all right, basically, how do I find my niche? So he wants to know, like, he needs help finding his niche. I think too many people, when it comes to the niche thing, I think too many people overthink this, and that's why they can't figure it out. In order to find your niche, you have to rethink how you find it. You essentially start out by saying, all right, here's what I know. Like, here's maybe some of the knowledge I have. I know about sales, or, all right, I know I can do this motivation stuff or whatever. So you have like stuff that you know. Now you match it up with what problem does someone have? What problem do these people have? So you have to look for the market, and you think, what does this market pay for? And you have to fit what you know into what they pay for. So if I say I'm going to go after the sales market, what exactly do they hire speakers for? So they hire speakers to motivate the entire sales team. So it's like the annual sales event. They're congratulating everyone. They have an award. They're like, all right, John, he just did 15 million in sales this year. All right, everyone, congratulate him. All right, our number one closer is Jane, and Jane did this. Everyone congratulate Jane. And so you have to think, where do I fit into this whole event, right? So you start out with the market. You think, what do they pay for? Now, where do I fit in there? Literally just pick a market. That is why so many people struggle. They refuse to decide. You think you can talk about everything. You feel like I can talk about sales, I can talk about leadership, I can talk about motivation, I can talk about buttons, I can talk about seaweed, I can talk about water, it's like you feel like you can talk about everything. You have to decide on one thing. You say, here's the market that I'm going to go after for now. You can change it in the future, but for now, you say, I'm only going to go after the college market. When you decide what market you're going to go after, now you say, what do they pay for? What speakers do they hire? At that moment, you will now instantly figure out what you need to talk about. So if you go after the college market and you say, I'm going to talk about history, you're done for. You will never get hired. If you say, I'm going to go after the college market and I'm a motivational speaker, you will get hired. And once again, this is where people overthink it. They're like, well, I don't know. I mean, motivational speaker, everyone's a motivational speaker and all that. And they try to think of a cute way to get around it. They're like, all right, well, what if I call myself law of attraction, spiritual leader speaker? I'm like, what? No one searches for that. Call yourself a motivational speaker. Call yourself a sales speaker. Call yourself a leadership speaker. You simply decide on a market and you say, what speakers do they pay for? That's it. Do not make it complicated. So if you're looking for your niche, just do that. You also have to understand the difference between building your brand and getting paid speaking gigs, or what I call like the seminar speakers versus the paid speakers. Paid speakers are pretty much motivational speakers, sales speakers, and leadership speakers. Those are pretty much the only paid speakers ever. All right. And celebrity speakers are like Gary Vaynerchuk, guys like them. Celebrity speakers can talk about whatever the hell they want. Celebrity speakers can get on stage and talk about buttons. They can literally say, all right, guys, so I've got a button here. And like literally celebrity speakers, they'll get paid $100,000 to talk about whatever they want. So they're in a category of their own. The speakers who get paid are motivational, sales, and leadership speakers. If you're pretty much not one of those, you will find it really hard to get paid. All right? And then you got to think the markets that pay speakers are college, high schools, kinda. They just don't pay much. Associations, corporate pays obviously a lot. And it's like only a few markets actually pay speakers because they're the only markets who actually need speakers. Then there's the seminar guys. The seminar speakers are what everyone thinks about when you think about building your expert status. Like when you hear about become the expert, that's what I mean by the seminar speakers. The seminar industry is completely different. The seminar industry is more about you build up your following, you build up your email list, you create products, and you sell those products to people. And it just so happens you can speak at conferences, but that's not your main moneymaker is speaking at conferences unless you sell from the stage. So if you're going to be a seminar speaker, you have to think about the niche in terms of a problem. You think about what's the problem I'm going to solve, and that problem is more like, all right, I'm going to be a sales speaker, or I'm just going to be a sales trainer, and the problem that I'm going to work with is cold calling. I'm going to show you guys how to do cold calling more effectively. So I'm going to create a product around cold calling. I'll write a book on cold calling. I'll build up my email list around cold calling and sales. And then from that point, you're just promoting and stuff. But understand that there's a huge difference when it comes to that. But what you have to do to find your niche is you just decide. You say, here's what I'm going to do. I'm a motivational speaker. Bam. You decide. That's it. And then you go after the college or corporate market at that point. So do not make it insanely complicated. All right, let's see. Dan said, in the Speak Pro, do you help us find our market and decide on the one thing and what they pay for, including the speaking topics? Yeah, in the Speak Pro Academy, I help you guys with everything. It doesn't matter what type of business you're building. Like Tammy mentioned, credit repair. I don't even care if you're a realtor. Like it doesn't matter what business you're building. I just help you with the entire process, anyways. So it doesn't matter if you need help finding your topic, if you need help with your website, everything. I'm going to show you how to do everything. I help you guys with literally everything inside of the group. We talk every day in terms of the actual conversations in the group, and every week in terms of a phone conversation. So I help you guys out with everything. Let's see, another question here. If you guys have any questions about the speaking industry, just go ahead and ask. Let's see. All right, so this question was, what is the most effective way to locate company meetings? All right, and then they continued it. They said, all my searches come up with conferences, which they don't pay unless you're the main event, unless you're the main keynote guy. And then they said, all right, companies don't seem to post, they don't really post to the public about their internal events. Yep, that's right. All right, and then they said, I tried to buy a list of meeting planners. They bought a list of 1,000 meeting planners, and they sent an email to these people. They ran a test, but it didn't really come back all that good. All right, so basically, how do you find an effective way to locate company events? So basically, they're right. I think this is a Speak Pro member as well. So basically, conferences do not pay speakers. So conferences only pay the main keynote guy, which is usually a celebrity speaker. Everyone else is either speaking for free or they're paying to speak, actually. And actually, let me rewind all the way to the beginning, right? In the beginning, because I forgot this, when I said if I had to start from scratch, what would I do? What I would do if I started from scratch is I would pay to get on a stage. I would literally pay someone to speak on their stage so I could get video footage of me speaking on a stage to use it on my website. A lot of speakers think, you know what, I deserve to get paid. Maybe you do, but in the beginning, the things you do are very differently than what you do later on. In the beginning, you're focusing on building the brand, building your image, getting video footage, getting all that material so you look like you're worth paying for. And the way to get it really fast is you pay for a videographer to make that video for you. And second, you pay to be on a stage so you can get video footage of you on a stage. Once you do that, now you can improve your website and all that. All right, so let's fast forward to now. So they said, what's the most effective way to locate the company meetings? So conferences don't pay unless you're the main guy. They contacted meeting planners, but it didn't work. Meeting planners, it does work. So if you do contact meeting planners, it does work. But once again, I would have to look at your website to see, do you have a good enough website? Because if you contact a meeting planner and you say, hey, I'm a great speaker, they're going to look at your website. They're going to look at the video footage and all that. If they don't see something great, they'll ignore you, all right? Your website is like your clothing, right? Imagine if you look like a bum and like if you literally look homeless and you go into 7-Eleven or Starbucks, as in what actually happened. Go into Starbucks and ask to use their restroom. They will look at you and say it's for customers only. On the other hand, if you go like this, if you go in a suit, you go anywhere and say, I'd like to use your restroom, they'll say, here's the key, or all right, it's over there, there's the code, or whatever. I guarantee it. The response is completely different. And so your website is the exact same. If your website looks really bad, people aren't going to respond in the way that you think, even though you're doing the same thing. Like the guy wearing a suit, the guy who looks homeless, they're doing the same thing. They're going into a store saying, hey, can I use your restroom? The guy in the suit is going to get a better response. The guy who looks homeless will always get people who say, oh, it's for customers only, every single time. All right. And so you have to think the same thing. Like when you contact meeting planners or contact anyone, your website is the difference. That's what makes the difference. So I would improve your website, then I would recontact those meeting planners for one. Now, I still haven't answered this question. I'm going to get to it. Hold on a second. Let's see. Clark said, all right, I'm giving a TED Talk in June. How would you maximize that opportunity to kick off your speaking business? So one, I wouldn't wait until June. For one, I would make sure my website is top-notch already. I would have that built out like literally in a week or 2 weeks max. And I would imagine if I already had the TED Talk, I would imagine like, all right, where would the TED Talk go on my website? So like here. So I would literally build something like this out. All right. And then I would say, okay, I'm going to put the TED Talk right here. Bam. So I would imagine the TED Talk right here, and I would build out this whole thing, and I would just imagine where my video is going to go. Or maybe I'd put the TED Talk here or something, right? Maybe I'd put a picture here, and then the TED Talk would go here. But essentially, I would build out the entire website before the TED Talk actually happens. Once the TED Talk happens and I get the video, I can instantly put it there, and then bam, I'm good to go, and I don't have to wait for anything. So that's essentially what I would do. A lot of people, they wait to get things done. That's why it takes them so long to actually make things happen. I can't tell you how many people say things like I'll join the Speak Pro Academy once I have my website built. And I say, no. Join before you have your website built, because otherwise I'm going to have to tell you to redo it because it probably won't be as good. Or like, I'll join after I write my book, right? Or I'll start after I write my book. People say things like, I'm going to write my book, then I'll start marketing myself as a speaker. And I said, no. You want to start marketing yourself as a speaker today while you're writing your book, all right? You don't wait for anything. You start. And so the same goes with the TEDx and all that. You essentially say, I'm going to build out the website today. You build it out. Once your TED Talk video, you get that footage, bam, you have it there. What I would essentially do with the TED Talk is I would even get video testimonials at the actual event. So once you're done with the TED Talk, I'd have my phone and I'd be like, I'm sure that they're kind of cautious on it with stuff like that, but I wouldn't care. I'd just be like, shoot, all right. Like I'm one of those who I believe in the ask for forgiveness instead of permission. So I would literally, after the TED Talk, I'd be going up to people. So what do you think of the presentation that I gave? And they're like, oh, it was amazing. All right. What do you think of the presentation? And then the person would come up, if they came up, the meeting planner would come up and they would say, oh, Benji, you can't be doing that. You can't be getting testimonials. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry about that. I won't do it. But within that time period, I would already have like 10 testimonials by the time they tell me to stop, right? So I would have 10 testimonials. I would have the TEDx video. All that stuff would go on the website. In the meantime, and in between time, I'd have the website built. I'd have my sales system built, so I'm ready to start contacting events immediately. In fact, I would start contacting events immediately, just because you want to think of it as practice. Right now, one of the hardest things for speakers to do is to contact events and to know what to say, to know how to pitch events. The only way you get good at pitching an event is to pitch events, is to practice pitching events. So in the beginning, you're always going to suck. So what you do is you say, all right, I'm going to just sit there and I'm going to start contacting events, start pitching events. Even if I don't have a website right now, I'm not going to sit down and do nothing, all right? I'm going to just start contacting events. I'm just going to try to pitch them, see what they respond to, what they ignore, and just get used to the process of building up my prospecting list and contacting the events. I'll get used to it. So that's essentially what you want to do from now until June. I'm telling you, most people, they just wait too long to do anything. That's why they struggle. They say things like, oh, I'm going to start once I finish my book. It's like, no, you don't really want to do stuff like that. You start immediately and you just keep going. You got to build that momentum. All right. And man, I still haven't answered this question. So the question was, what is the most effective way to locate company meetings? Okay. So to answer this question, the most effective way to locate company meetings is you have to shift the way you think about this whole process. The way you have to think about this whole process is the way you locate a company meeting is to contact a company, all right? So the contacting is the finding, all right? You have to shift the way you think about this. Contacting is finding. As a person said, companies do not post their events online. There's absolutely no reason for Microsoft to post their event on Eventbrite or anything like that to say, hey, it's our annual Microsoft event, our annual employee event, our annual sales event. There's no reason for them to do that because they'll just send out an internal email or post on their internal board or whatever to everyone saying, hey guys, our company meeting, blah, blah, blah. So they'll just send out an email to everyone in their company. And so the only way you kind of figure this stuff out is you literally go to Microsoft, you go to their website. Something like Microsoft would be a little bit hard, but you go to something like Microsoft, you contact someone at that company and you say, hey, Microsoft, I was wondering who hires the keynote speakers for your annual sales event. And then what's going to happen is one of two things. They'll say, we don't do an annual sales event or something like that. Or they'll say like, oh, John hires the speakers or I hire the speakers or whatever. So that's how you find out. All right. You have to think of it as a conversation. And When you shift your mind like that, you just start contacting people and you start asking them questions. And the best way I can think of this in terms of describing it is like, imagine there's a room of 100 people and one person in this room has the same name as you. You have to figure out who has the same name as you. Now, you can't yell out, "Who's got my name?" You can't yell that out. So what do? You have to actually go up to every person and say, "Hey, I was wondering, what's your name?" And then they'll say, "My name is John." All right. "Hey, I was wondering, what's your name?" "My name is Mike." "Hey, I was wondering, what's your name?" "My name is Benji." "Okay, cool. All right. You must be as smart as me." Right. And so that's essentially what you have to do, is you have to contact them in order to figure it out. If you shift the way you think by doing this, I guarantee you will get on stages more often. It's one of the things that Dave Davlin did, all right? So Dave Davlin, I mentioned him earlier. You guys might have seen his review of the Speak Pro Academy. I mean, he hit like $250,000, like literally $250,000 in like a year by going through the whole process. He literally said, "Am I willing to contact at least 100 people a day, 100 events a day in order to actually do this?" His answer was yes. Now, he didn't need to contact 100 people a day to get booked, but he essentially said, "Am I willing to at least do that?" Right? And because he kept contacting events, because he went through the process saying, "Hey, who hires," he's an entertainer, by the way. So he said, "Hey, who hires the entertainers?" Because he kept doing that, and they would say, "Oh, we don't hire entertainment," or "I do," or "this person does." Because he contacted them, that's how he found out which events pay. That's what you do. Now, you do get smart about it. So like, let's say this is one of the things that we talk about inside the Speak Pro, where you essentially create a lead score here. So this lead score is essentially, it's basically like you put it inside of your CRM and you essentially say, here are the qualities of an event that pays. And so a quality of an event that pays is that they've paid a speaker before. Like, that's one quality. Another quality is that they've come to you. Like, they literally want you, not just a speaker. A bad quality is that they're a seminar or a conference. Those are bad qualities because they just don't pay speakers. A good quality is that it's an annual employee event. So that's another good quality. If I know it's an annual employee event, they've hired a speaker in the past, and they're coming to me, they literally want me, it's a guaranteed. I know that they're going to pay. Like, that's just guaranteed that they're going to pay, right? So those are qualities that you create in what's called a lead score. All this stuff that we go over inside the Speak Pro Academy, by the way. But that's essentially the only way you can kind of guess in terms of which events actually pay. But the only way you figure it out is you essentially contact them. That's the only way. You have to contact them. If you are not contacting events, that is why you are not getting on stages. If you're not contacting events and if you're not doing it right, that is why you're not getting on stages. You have to be like Dave Davlin, where he literally said, "Am I willing to contact 100 events a day?" If you can get to that point and you can actually do it the right way, you can say the right things, then you'll get on stages. If, on the other hand, you only contact, let's say, 10 events a week, then it's like you won't get hired, okay? Because you won't be doing enough volume. I was watching a video, actually, of this sales guy, and so I'm like deciding if I should say his name or not, but so like basically he has a huge sales, like a huge sales business. And in the video, he actually had one of his cold callers come over and he said, "Yeah, this is John here. John's been kind of on like an off week, like a couple weeks. He's been kind of off in terms of the number of cold calls he's been making. He's only been doing about 150 calls per day." And I was like, dang, that's this guy being off. Like, that's him slacking, doing 150 calls a day. He was at 400 calls a day, and the guy's doing $700,000 a year. And he's working for the sales guy, right? And so if slacking equals 150 calls a day, I mean, you got to think, like, are you doing enough? Are you contacting enough? Are you actually doing enough activity to get the results that you want to have? And so you just have to understand this in terms of like, why aren't you where you want to be? And that's stuff that we figure out inside of Speak Pro Academy, which is why we go over the numbers, right? I always have people say, like, what are your numbers? Like, how many leads did you generate? How many did you contact? And how many responded? How many opportunities did you create? And how many gigs did you book? We go over those numbers because it lets me know where your problem is. Like, if I know that you only generated 50 leads for the week, that means that you're just not doing enough activity. Like I said, that guy, he had an off week. His off week was 150 calls per day. That's his off week, right? So you got to just think, am I doing enough? All right, so let's see. And any questions you guys have about getting on stages, make sure you ask them. What time is it? All right, okay. So let's see. David said, the other day you mentioned that at the beginning we should fill out as many online website forms as possible to try to get ourselves booked at events. Yep. All right, so some of these websites want pretty much detailed information on the speech, all right? And we would give their conference. So how much time should we spend working on the speech? All right. Wait, so how much time should we spend working on the tenets of the speech so we can submit something to them? Yeah, so what Dave is talking about, so Dave is a Speak Pro member, and what I mentioned to him is that in the beginning, you want to contact anybody and everybody. In the beginning, your purpose is to get on any stage. So remember, like how I said, where you should even pay to be on a stage if you have to. So in the beginning, you want to contact conferences, seminars, all that. The thing is, when you contact a conference or a seminar, they have you fill out a form. So they're like, fill out this RFP, fill out this form to be one of the speakers that we're going to consider at the event. Now, eventually, you don't want to do that, but in the beginning, you have to do that because you have to get on a stage. So when you fill out that form, they always say, like, well, what are you going to talk about? This is where you have to look at their website and you have to say, okay, well, what speakers did they hire in the past? What topics did they hire in the past? Or what topics did they bring in the past? And that's what I would do. Like, I would even go to their YouTube channel, if they have one. I go to the YouTube channel and I would look to see their last year event, like to see all that. And I would look to see which topic got the most amount of views. All right. And so if I see one topic got 17,000 views and another one got 500, I would obviously say my topic is very similar to the $17,000 views one. So that's kind of what I would do. In the beginning, what you're essentially doing is you're essentially looking at their event. You're looking at everything that they do, everything that their event is, and you figure out what exactly do they want. And at that moment, you're literally making stuff up on the spot. I kid you not. That's what I did in the beginning. I would look at an event and I would see, let's say like a car salesman event, right? I would contact a car salesman event. They'd say, hey, fill out this form. I go and I say, okay, so what exactly can I talk about for car salesmen in terms of motivation or marketing or whatever? So I'll say, all right. I say, well, I'm going to show your car salespeople how to sell more cars every month. I mean, obviously, I think of something better than that. But basically, my topic would be around whatever the heck their event is. That's literally what I would do. And that's essentially what you would do. So, like with that, let's say I would talk about how to have a car salesman sell more, and then let's say I were to contact a tech event. So let's say some tech company and they're hosting like a huge tech event. Now I would change my topic to here's how you sell your SaaS business. Here's how you get more subscribers to your SaaS company. All right. So your software as a service company. So now I would just change my topic. I'd say, hey, what I'm going to talk about at the event is how to actually generate, how to get more people to sign up for a free trial to your SaaS business. So now I just completely change it. That's essentially what you're doing when you're filling out these forms for the events. Okay, so let's see. Clark said, all right, thoughts on speaking agents. All right, had one 6-7 years ago. All right, booked me a few gigs. Is it worth doing another one or build it? All right. So when it comes to speaking agents, this is one of the things that a lot of people have problems with, right? So you don't want to be at the point, you don't want to be at the level where you want other people to build your business for you. If you don't know how to get on a stage, you're going to have a hard time finding people who will help you get on a stage. All right. You have to be able to tell someone, here's what you do. Here's the process that's built out. I can literally, like when I would hire someone, I would say, here's the process. All right. I would say, all right, you're going to build up a list of events like this. I had a document that would say, here are the different ways you can build up a list of events. Then I would say, send out this email, all right? It wasn't an email that they could make up. I said, hey, send this email out. You're going to wait about 3 days. If they don't respond, send this email out. You're going to wait a few more days. If they don't respond, send this email out. So it was a process. They were literally like following orders pretty much. If you can't do that, you're not ready for an agent, all right? Nobody who's really good at booking speakers will ever do it for a commission of like 25% or something like that. There's absolutely no reason for them to do it. If anything, they'd say, I'm going to do it for 50% because like literally that's what they do. But there is no such thing as a booking agent, okay? Booking agents who are really good, they will charge you a lot, like 50%, if that. And then also, if you can't direct them on what to do, most of them won't know what to do and they'll do it wrong. So it'd just be really hard to get on a stage. So there's nothing wrong with having someone do it for you as long as they know what they're doing. But the thing is, do you know that they know what they're doing? So if I hire somebody today and I say, hey, I want you to book me gigs, they're going to be like, what do I do? I don't know. What do I do? And what's going to happen is they're going to go online. They're going to go to Google. They're going to type in how to find speaking engagements. They're going to find horrible advice, absolutely horrible advice, to where it says like have a great presentation, write a book, create content. They're going to find horrible advice that doesn't actually get you on a stage, and then they just won't know what to do. On top of that, they won't actually tell you. That's the worst part. They won't tell you that they don't know. Instead, what's going to happen is they just won't show up anymore to, like, let's say you do like a weekly call with them or a daily call. They'll start showing up less and less, and then they'll just disappear altogether, all right? On the other hand, if you train them, if you say, all right, here's what you do. Go to Google, type in, use these keywords. You have like a list of keywords that you built out in a document. All this stuff is inside Speak Pro Academy, by the way. You have like a list of keywords. You say copy and paste this into Google. Use the image search, all right, and then after that, put that into the CRM. After that, you do this, and after that, you do this, and then you walk them through the process. After that, they'll understand it. They'll say, okay, now let me go through the process. I'll send out this email, I'll send out this follow-up, and blah, blah, blah. And they're just following the process. It's literally like imagine if you go to work at McDonald's, and imagine you just get hired, and the manager says, all right, go make the burgers. Go make the burgers, ring up the cash register. You'll be like, wait, you didn't train me. Like, what? How do I use this cash register? Like, what do I do? What? And it's like, you also be like, well, how do I do the fries? Like, what the heck? No company ever doesn't train someone. So if you aren't willing to train someone to book gigs for you, that's why they'll have a hard time booking gigs for you. So you have to train them. In order for you to train them, you have to understand the process. So you have to think, am I even ready for hiring someone, for a booking agent? Am I even ready for it? All right. The idea sounds great, but you have to think, am I ready for it? All right. And it's very similar to like why companies would go out of business when, like, let's say they appeared on Oprah, right? So they appeared on Oprah. All of a sudden, they just get like 1 million sales for their products, and now they can't actually fulfill those sales because they weren't ready for it. They were like a small mom and pop store, so they get like 1 million sales that came in. Bam, their entire website goes down. Now they lost all their customers. Now they get a bad rep because everyone's like, I gave them money. And then all of a sudden they blah, blah, blah. And so now their entire business gets screwed up because they weren't ready for it. So you have to think, are you ready for it? Any other questions? Make sure you ask some questions. We're almost going to be done here. All right, so let's see. Lindley said, all right, what is the best way to uncover 100 plus leads every day? So the best way, so this is why a lot of people do it wrong, right? So in order to get 100 plus leads a day, what you do is, one, you have a system. So you got to have a system where you have like a ton of different keywords you can use. So let's say I type in annual sales events. Oops. So this is like one of the methods where you simply just go to Google. Literally, Google is the method that I use. I mean, I don't really like using other methods. But essentially what you do is you have like a list of keywords like this. So I have like a list of keywords like annual sales event, annual sales conference, annual conference, stuff like that. You have a huge list of events, a huge document. You do a Google keyword search. All of these are leads. So I instantly found 10 leads, all right? Now what I can do here, I can go to tools over here, I can go to any time, I can click the past year. I now found another list of extra events. And I can change that to the past month or whenever. But basically, I've instantly found a ton of leads. All these guys are leads. I now can keep going, keep scrolling. I found a ton of different leads, all right? I can instantly scrape all these leads, and I have 100 per day. Bam, instant. All right, I can go to images here. This is another method that I like using. This is actually a horrible keyword for images. Let's see, I'll just type in annual event. So I can go to, all right, that's also horrible. Oh, okay, that's because I have this set up. So we'll do that. All right, so like I can go here and I can look at this. Now here's another event that I could possibly contact. All right, look at this gala dinner here, another event, National Partnership for Women and Families. All these are essentially just events that I can actually contact. So that's how you find 100 plus leads a day. What people are doing wrong is, here's what people are doing. All right, so let's say they type in annual sales event. Here's why it takes people so long to figure this stuff out. They type in annual sales event, they click on an event, they click on a website. Instead of just copying and pasting this website into their CRM, instead of just doing that, they essentially look around the website for too long. They're like, I wonder if this event pays. I wonder if they pay. And this actually, this actually isn't an event at all. But basically, they're looking here. They're like, I wonder, does this event pay speakers? What's their contact information? All right, let me find their contact information. Let me get their Facebook and their Instagram and all that stuff. Let me copy and paste this. Let me copy and paste their facts. Let me see who do I talk to. And they do all this stuff. So they're on this website for like 10 minutes. What I do is I literally, like I go from here, I type that in, and then sometimes I won't even actually like click on this. I'll literally just copy this. Bam, I'll literally like copy that. I'll go into the CRM, I'll paste it inside of there, I'll copy the actual name, so like the special event company, I'll put that inside the CRM, bam, I'll move on to the next one. I'll go here, copy that, bam, move on to the next one, bam, move on to the next one. I can find 100 events every day. Remember, contacting is finding. So I don't know that any one of those events actually pays speakers. The way I figure it out is by contacting them, asking, do you pay speakers? That's how you figure it out. That's the process. All right, so let's see. Sabrina said, all right, so, hey, Benji, you're the best looking person I've ever seen. All right, thank you. No, it didn't say that. So, hey, Benji, if I have the footage to use to create a promo reel, all right, so from prior TV appearances, all right, would that be acceptable to use until I have the footage to actually create a speaker's reel, or would that be ineffective? Yes, so to create your speaker reel, basically you use whatever footage you have already. The way you're going to create a good one is to hire a videographer. So the videographer is essentially going to edit it to make it look hella cool. That's literally what the videographers can do. So all you got to do is just look for a good videographer, look at what they've done, and then say, all right, bam, here's my footage, here's testimonials, here's footage of me on stage, go do your magic. That's it. That's literally what you got to do with the videographer. So that's all you got to do with your video reel, your promo reel. So Brian said, how far in advance do most companies book their speakers? There really isn't an answer to that. So it depends on how big the event. So like the bigger the event, the further out they plan. But it doesn't really matter. So this is one of the things where you have to shift the way you think. So it doesn't matter if you're even late. Let's say I contacted Microsoft. Let's say Microsoft's event is next week. And I contacted them, and they say like, oh, man, we've already got our speakers. It doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is, do they pay and do they want me? So they may not be able to have me this year, but now I can contact them for next year because I know that they pay. I know that they're semi-interested. So now I can contact them for next year. And in fact, David even posted this. He actually did get a response from the people where they literally said like, hey, thanks for reaching out. This year's conference is actually on Friday. We're actually good to go. And then they said regarding next year, we usually start planning in December, and I'll keep your contact info on file. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me again either. So it's like this. When David contacted this event, they said, we're good to go. Like we don't need a speaker this year. But essentially, and usually they don't say the last part where they say we're planning in December. They usually don't say all that. You have to essentially like initiate that. But basically what you do is you just say, okay, well, what about next year? And so you're just talking to them about next year. So that's how you have to think. It's not about really like when they plan or anything like that. You just contact them whenever and you figure out, all right, do they want me as a speaker? Once you know that they want you, you're more likely to get hired for next year, the year after that, or whatever. All right. So any other questions about speaking in general, getting on stages, any of that stuff? By the way, I've been thinking about putting some stuff out about public speaking and presentation skills. So if you guys do want that, let me know. Like send some questions in to info@speakinglifestyle.com in terms of public speaking questions, presentation skills, stuff like that. If you guys want any of that info. Any questions before we're done here? Any final questions about the speaking business or anything? All right, I'll wait a couple seconds because I know there's a delay. And if you guys do send in questions into the email, then I'll usually like screenshot it and then I'll essentially just answer them later on, like in Facebook, on the Facebook Lives. Any questions before we're done? Any questions? And like I said, so if you guys really do want help, make sure you join the Speak Pro Academy. Any Speak Pro Academy member will tell you that I give you more help than anyone ever will. Like there's more stuff inside the Speak Pro Academy than anyone else's stuff. It's basically a system. The entire thing is like a process. It's not about just doing the right things. You have to make sure you're doing those things right. So even if you're cold emailing, even if you have a website, you got to make sure your website's top notch. Make sure you're saying the right things when you pitch and all that stuff. All right, so cool. We'll be doing more Facebook Lives. Thank you guys for showing up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.